Vedang Raina, it is a pleasure to be here with you in Mumbai. How are you?
All good. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. And as I was telling you, when I knew I was coming to Mumbai and I wanted to talk to people who I think are the future of Hindi cinema, one of the first few names that came to mind was yours. You've made such an impact with two films so far. How does it feel knowing that the years of hard work, preparation, dreaming have come to fruition and your dream has become a reality?
Uh, that's very kind of you. Firstly, thank you so much. And I don't think it's come to fruition yet. I think it's. I'm still in the process of that. But yes, the first year of me being in this industry has been amazing. I can't complain. There's a lot to take away, a lot to write home about, and yeah, it's been a thrilling experience. And I hope it only gets better from here. Um, there's a lot I need to work on. There's a lot of things that I have certain goals that I want to reach. But this is a good. These are good baby steps.
What are those goals? What are the goals that you want to reach?
I'd say. Uh, I think maybe explore a lot more as an actor. Be collaborate with makers and directors that I've always wanted to work with. And I just hope I keep getting the opportunities to kind of prove myself.
When you think of a debut like The Archies, this is what dreams are made of. To be in a film directed by Zoya Akhtar, who's known for working with A-list megastars, to be launching a group of newcomers. What do you remember your reaction when you were first told that you would be part of this movie?
Yeah, it was rather weird actually. I couldn't accept it. So when I got that call, when they said that, listen, we want you to play Reggie for our film, I just couldn't believe it because I've been through that auditioning process before, where they say, hey, you're locked, and like something happens. So I was expecting a call the next day to say like, I'm sorry, like somebody else,
Yeah.
got the thing. But yeah, after I took like a week to process it, I realized that, oh my god, this is happening. I think that assurance came from a Zoom call I did with Zoya after I was part of the project, and I was like, wow, I'm actually talking to Zoya about the character in the film, and like this is really happening. So yeah, it was insane. I never thought that this was something that could happen. In fact, the first audition I gave for Archies, after that it was like 4 or 5 months of no callback. So usually,
4 or 5 months.
yes, I'd forgotten about it completely.
Wow.
But it was also due to lockdown. So in December of 2020 is where I gave my first audition, and then lockdown happened. So I guess everyone forgot about everything. And when I got that call back in like April or May of the next year, I was like, oh my god, this may be happening. So yeah, it was amazing. It was crazy, and I'm so blessed to have done my first film with someone like Zoya.
How old were you when you first auditioned for
I
that
would have
film?
been 20.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I think even as a 20-year-old to have ambitions of entering this industry are they're very big ambitions, because this is an industry where we know that people travel from all around the world to this city with this hope, this ambition, this dream of becoming an actor or an actress. And quite literally, I know this is a cliche, but only very few make it, like a handful make it. What gave you the kind of belief to think that you could be one of those that do?
Can I be very honest? I wish I had that narrative where like I left everything behind and I devoted myself completely to acting, to auditioning, to make it in the industry. But it really wasn't the case. When I was auditioning, I was also pursuing my degree. The thing is, whatever I've seen and learned from looking around me is that this industry is like like it's not a short thing, right? Like auditioning, even if you get your first role, like where do you go from there? Is it going to be lucrative enough? Is it is it something that I really want to pursue in my life? Will it pay the bills? Like you're worried about those things. And especially I was in business school in Bombay here, so I was going to pursue my degree. And to be very honest, if Archies didn't land, I'd most probably be probably doing a couple of years of internship and going into an MBA. So I don't have that story where I left everything behind and did it, but I definitely had a real passion for it, and it really excited me. And obviously, I dreamed of like, what if this just clicks and what if this just happens? And before acting, I was more into music. That was something that really started, that kind of ignited my love for performing arts. And from there, it kind of went into acting, and I realized acting is where really my heart lies. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed the process. I hated it also when it came to the rejections that I faced during auditioning.
So,
Um,
what is that process like? Because actually, it'd be really interesting to explain how that happens, especially if you're somebody who doesn't have connections. I mean, you are an outsider. I mean, these terms are very strange anyway, but you're
Yeah.
not somebody with connections to the industry, I believe, right? So
Right.
how do you go about even getting to an audition?
So when I was maybe 17 or 18, I joined an agency, and that happened. Actually, my intention to join the agency at the time was maybe to just get a couple of modeling gigs while I was doing
Who
my
was
degree.
telling you that you were good looking enough to be a model? Like, where does that level
So
of
this-
confidence come
this
from
one-
at 17?
This one person who is a friend of my father is a photographer.
Right.
So he said, "Listen, I'll just shoot you." It like a really casual, like fun thing. So it just happened to be I went to Pune to his house and I shot a couple of like my first portfolio pictures. So those pictures I just sent it out everywhere, and it wasn't even like I need this to happen. It was kind of like it'll be nice if it happens. And also I just kind of started making some music of my own. Not really of my own, but I started covering a few songs and I started putting it on YouTube, and I got a little bit of attention through that. And I sent those as well to certain agencies who represent you for all these arenas. So like where it comes to music, acting, etc., and modeling. So one of them took me in, mainly for my modeling and my music. And when I joined them, they said, "Listen, you should definitely try auditioning and try acting." And it really wasn't a thought before that. So I'd say it was as late as like 17 or 18 when I
When you, sorry, go ahead.
when I started like auditioning and when I started thinking about acting as a career.
And then you were auditioning regularly enough to have faced those rejections as well.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
what is that process like? Because obviously, in film, we see like a room full of dozens and dozens of hopefuls, and they're being called in one at a time, and they don't even hear back at all, and
Yeah.
we hear these kind of horror stories of the experience. What
Right,
is it
right.
actually like?
So the initial days of me auditioning, it started like that, right? You go into this like this room and there's a bunch of other people, and like you're looking at them and you're thinking, oh my god, like this guy looks more the part, and will I ever get it? And all those things were there. But then I went into a really weird phase of auditioning when it all became self tests because the lockdown happened.
Right.
And that's when I gave most of my auditions. So honestly, it kind of made it easier for me in a way because I was recording most of them from home,
Right.
and like either my mom or my sister would do the lines with me.
Isn't it a bit embarrassing? Like even with
It
your
was
mum and your sister.
really embarrassing. It was really like to the point where I would say, listen, like even when you're saying the lines, just don't look at me. Don't look at me while you're doing it.
I mean, which is the absolute opposite of what happens on a film set, because
Absolutely.
there's hundreds of people
Sure.
looking at you.
Sure.
So, but sometimes when it's your closest and nearest and dearest, like your mum and your sister,
Sure.
you feel that much more
Yes.
conscious as well, right?
Yes. So the same thing happened with my music, right? I was performing, at like an inter-college, inter-school level, and I used to perform quite a bit. And I was in those circuits of like, going for like these band performances and, performing on stage. But I could never sing in front of like my parents at home or my sister. I would feel really embarrassed. But I would be on stage and there'd be like, whatever, 50 people. And I'd be able to, be.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. I feel like it's when it's your nearest and dearest ones, you feel a bit more like shy.
Because their validation matters more than
Yes,
anybody else,
I think
I
that's
guess.
yeah, that's the case.
Knowing that you've made them proud matters more than a
Right.
bunch of strangers that you're probably never gonna see.
Or the other way around, like if you think you've disappointed them, it's gonna be the most hurtful, right?
That's also true.
Yeah.
When you actually, one other question about the auditioning process. Do you know what you're auditioning for? Like, how much detail do you have? For example, the Archies. Did you know what it was?
In that case, it was really surprising, but I knew from the start that this is a Zoya project about the Archies.
Right.
And it was called the Archies. So that was anyways really exciting. But a lot of times they say a renowned director and like, they can't name the project and they can't name the director and they can't name the production house. But they like, the casting people will tell me that it's a big one. So that's about all you'd get sometimes. But I've given, all kinds of auditions. Well, I have a whole take on auditions. I don't like the process. I don't like the process because I don't think it's the most accurate way of judging an artist or an actor's capabilities, and especially the way it happens. Nothing against the agencies; they do a great job, but it's just the way it happens. Like sometimes you just, I feel like you don't have enough information, and B, I feel like sometimes the briefs that you get may not align with the actual maker behind the scenes. So like a filmmaker will not be able to match the briefs of the casting agency may not match with what the director is wanting for that character.
Is there a more efficient way, do you think, of it working?
I don't know, but I feel like we can get there. I feel like there is a way to kind of like crack it up in a nicer way. I think so.
Because quite often the people who are actually taking your audition, physical audition, not the virtual ones, but physical audition, quite often the person behind the camera really couldn't care less.
Yes, that has happened with me. Also, they may not be a an actor themselves, so they don't really know how to like play off of you and those kind of things. And so I feel like the most I've been disappointed with is the brief that I'd gotten. I feel like that really wasn't the character. I mean, I've seen certain auditions that I didn't kind of land, and those characters became eventually came in a show or whatever. And obviously things change over the course of the creative process, but I felt like maybe that something was different, or maybe I could have tried something different if the information given to me was different.
So, with something like the Archies, it's a dream debut in many, many ways, but there is a catch-22 element to it, in that once you know that you're also being launched with the likes of Amitabh Bachchan's grandson and Sridevi's daughter and Shah Rukh Khan's daughter, it must be quite easy to think, is this even worth it? Like, is anybody even going to look at me in a film where there's so much attention on these people from famous families?
I just didn't think of it like that. Actually, for me, it was just insane to just be part of this project. For me, it was insane to have my face in a like I'll be able to see myself on Netflix. I wasn't really like thinking about like, oh, will I be seen? What will happen? It wasn't a thought. It was just like, oh my god, this is happening. So while the filming process, while the pre-production process was happening, I was just soaking it all in and really just enjoying it. I think the stress or like the pressure of like, oh my god, what will happen now came in only around like release time. But yeah, I guess like in the back of my head there was maybe a thought where like, oh, will anyone even look at me? That was definitely there. Also because of probably my an insecurity of an actor who's like his first film, right? So I was so nervous during the filming and so nervous during the release, like, and you don't know where life's gonna go after. So I guess it was a thought in the back of my head, but never something I like, you know, uh, got too much to thinking about.
It's very easy in this city, and I'm in Mumbai. We're here, we're in Juhu, which is like a central hub of where all of this film action takes place. It's very easy to be consumed by insecurities in this city, I feel, because you can see the privilege around you so much. You can see that there is a hierarchy, there is a system, there is something. I felt it in this 1 week of being here. You know that people who are from established film families have a one-upmanship in society here. There is an added advantage to them. So you coming in fresh to this space means you will have to work that much harder to even be looked at. And that must be, like, again, something that must burden you as an individual, no?
Yeah, I guess in my first film it did. Like I remember having that feeling where I thought if this doesn't like land for me, then I have to go back to doing my MBA.
Yeah.
That was definitely a serious thought in my head, and that would have been the case. Honestly, I just thank my stars, because if I kind of just passed off as like, okay, yeah, whatever, he was in a film, and it didn't like resonate with people, either the character, performance, film, whatever, yeah, I would have been in a very different place. So I'm really glad it worked out that way, and I definitely felt that kind of pressure.
And it was a really unique circumstance because, quite honestly, the film was very divisive. It was very divisive. But one thing that most people were unanimous in was their praise for you, which was, it was really refreshing because of this cast full of newcomers with some people from, filmy backgrounds. You were the most celebrated performance in the film. How surreal was that experience?
I never expected it. I never expected it. I thought I'll just be part of a film. I didn't feel like it would, the reaction that I got was definitely surprising, and then everything after that was just insane. But yeah, it was just crazy. The way it happened as well. Like when I was cast for the film, there was no like talks about a launch. So all I knew was I was one of like 7 major characters. So I thought, okay, I'll just be part of like a film.
Yeah.
I never felt like this could really do something for me. So it was just bizarre when everything happened the way it happened.
To have Shah Rukh Khan at your premiere night, to have Aishwarya Rai at your premiere. This is
No biggie.
It's mad because even if you had done a normal debut, right? Say you'd done a normal Netflix original debut, you wouldn't even know that your film would have reached these people, that they would even know that you exist, right? But for
Yeah.
them to be standing there at your film premiere, can you talk me through what was like going on in your mind?
That day has to be one of the most memorable nights of my life. For me, that was the release of the film, right? Like that was 2 days before the actual release, and that was it for me. Whatever reaction I got there, because everyone was there. uh, dare I say, it was the biggest premiere in like a long time
I
in the
think so.
industry, right?
Yeah.
Everyone came together for this film. So it was bizarre. Who gets to say Shah Rukh Khan was at the premiere of your first film? All of these things were just crazy, but I was just soaking it all in, I guess. Uh, and yeah, what a special night.
It was like, even now thinking about it, I remember when the pictures and the videos released from that night, thinking, wow, that must be a high pressure environment to be judged by so many people in your debut
Oh
film
no.
with no previous acting experience, with the greats sitting there watching you. Did you have a conversation with any of them after? Did you speak to any of them?
Uh, yeah, I think Hrithik sir, and that was really a dream because I've always admired him. Growing up, I was the biggest fan of all his films. So I think he said, well done, or something like, oh, you danced well, and I was like, you have said this, it's over for me. But yeah, I guess I had a chat with everyone. I had the privilege of speaking with Shah Rukh sir, and even before the premiere. So it was just crazy, man. Like it felt like I don't even know what happened. I remember it was just like I don't even know what happened.
You were in a really unique circumstance because you'd already signed your second film before the first one had even released. And actually, it took me back to an interview I'd done with Sarah Ali Khan. I had done her first ever interview before her debut released. And I remember talking to her about privilege and nepotism. And this was before the nepotism conversation was even happening. And I remember saying, you have such an advantage that you've already signed your second film before your first film's even released. And I hadn't seen an example of that with a newcomer who wasn't from the industry. But you are probably the first outsider who
Yeah.
I've seen have that happen to them. How did that happen?
That was probably crazier than Archies even, because that was like your usual like auditioning process, and it was a lot of auditions, a lot of callbacks. You do that, you do the process, be part of the process, and you get it right, or you don't get it. This was just like out of nowhere, and especially to be it was a dharma film, and Alia was in it, so these kind of things were bizarre. But I guess in the industry, some people make certain calls, or like now I was out there through the trailer and through probably some appearances, and I guess people have eyes on that. Plus, it was a project a lot of people were really anticipating, even within the industry.
Yeah.
So I guess I had a few eyes on me, and they probably thought, okay, this guy's right for this. And it was so crazy because I didn't even understand the concept of like not auditioning for something. um, so that was really special, and
So
that
you
was
didn't
also
audition for
no, I didn't audition for Jigra.
They just had faith.
I guess like what happens is, no, I don't think it's just faith. I think what I still don't know, and I remember asking like even Karan and Alia, like, how does why me, what happened? I guess you see something in somebody which maybe like a Vasan sir who would have thought that, okay, my character is kind of like this person, so maybe I should explore this. And there is also a lot of like the rushes are there, and I guess somebody must have seen something from the Archies or heard something about the Archies. Or, I mean, these kind of conversations are happening, which I still don't like. I don't know
Do you
what
not
goes
have
on
a
behind the
sense of
scenes.
do you not have a sense of like imposter syndrome? Like you said, you were
100%, 100%, big time. Now I feel like I've still kind of settled in, but like big time during Jigra, during Archies, I felt like, what am I doing here? And I don't belong here.
both on and off set, right? Like for example, with Jigra, it's Alia Bhatt. She's probably the best actress of this generation.
Absolutely.
She's an outstanding talent. And you're cast as her brother, and there's only you two really that are primary characters in this movie. There are other characters, but you two are the primary. You are the core crux of this film. Your character is the Jigra of the movie. To know that you're working with somebody who is so well respected at their craft means that you have to really up your game as well, right?
Yeah, that was a lot of pressure for sure, because in Archies, everyone was doing this for the first time. So you were around people who were kind of learning on the way, and we were kind of discovering things together. It's kind of like film school. didn't go to film school, but imagine that's how it'd be, you know.
You went
Like
to
it
this film school of Zoya Akhtar.
Sure. And like you're kind of learning on the job, and you're understanding, okay, this is how the camera works, and this is what a track shot is. And in Jigra, I felt like, okay, now I'm suddenly a professional, and I've been cast in a film, and I need to like deliver. That's my job as an actor, to like, you know, do the job. And that felt like a lot of pressure, because especially my first scene ever, first day of shoot, was a scene with Alia, when we were talking, and I was like, you know, what will she think, and what will, because there was no audition, right? So I was like, okay, I guess I have to prove myself here.
So the first time you met was on set?
No. We had a meeting before that. We had a reading or two, but we didn't really meet that often before the filming. With Vasan sir, I did. I guess we discussed the character a lot. I guess I annoyed him with it a bit too. Yeah, that was a lot of pressure. But she made it easy for me. I keep saying that she was just so chill on set. You know, you'd imagine a star like her to just, you know, I don't know what it's like, right? I haven't worked with such a big star before, but she was just so easy. She made it easier for me. She made it like relaxed for me, so I wasn't worried. Then after that first scene, I realized that, okay, this is just two actors like working together, and that was a lot of fun.
Quite often the second film you do is the real test of your skill, because with the first performance it could just be a fluke. Like you might naturally have been Reggie, it might naturally have just been you behaving like yourself, but for your second performance to be equally as acclaimed and for you to get just as much praise for the second film must have been a solid validation that actually maybe I have got something.
Sure, I guess so. I can't see things this way. I don't know why. Like, firstly, I'm just never satisfied with anything that I do.
So you don't think you were good in the movie?
I think I was okay. I think there was a lot of scope for improvement. Things that I've learned, things that I've like literally noted down in the notebooks that I have where I write about acting, and I'm like, okay, this is something that I need to work on. And I felt the same way about Archies. I couldn't look at myself in Archies.
Really?
Yeah. However, I do, like, when I look back at both the films and both the characters that I've played, I feel like Reggie was probably quite far from who I am as a person. So maybe it was more kind of difficult for me to kind of reach that character than it was Ankur. Ankur is probably closer to who I am as a person.
Even though that was probably the more emotionally charged performance.
100% it was more emotionally charged. Plus, it's a circumstance that I can't even imagine being in, right?
Yeah.
Awaiting your death, being on death row. So that was definitely an interesting and difficult aspect to grasp. But for Reggie, there was so many things that I had to work on, especially like physically, when it came to the dancing. I'm a complete, like, no, I've never danced before Archies, so that was like a long process to kind of get, you know, easy with it. And I felt like that was kind of important for the character as well, because he's this person who's so secure and so confident. He can't be, you know, making a fool of himself. So those kind of things. So everything was challenging, I guess. But yeah, what was I saying?
So that you're closer to
Ankur, yeah. So anyway, I can't look back at a performance and be like, yeah, I'm completely satisfied. I don't think that can happen.
You know, I think one of the exciting things about speaking to you, Vedang, is that nobody really knows what the formula is to make a successful actor today. There's some really talented actors out there who we've seen on screen and they've been really good performers, but unfortunately they don't land and become stars, and they unfortunately don't even get good work after a certain point. And there's no blueprint to follow, because it feels like just everything has changed. You know, you mentioned Hrithik. Times have changed since Hrithik. Times have changed since Varun and Siddharth. Times have changed since Karthik. Times have even changed since Ishan, who only made his debut a few years ago. Right now, there is no blueprint for how to become a successful star. So what do?
You just focus on your work. I guess that's the only way, because even I've just come into the industry at a time where, like, things are changing as like every single day. Since I debuted in the Archies till right now, the scene with the theaters, the scene with, you know, box office, the kind of films that are being greenlit, everything has kind of changed. So it'll keep changing, and all you gotta do as an actor, I guess, is to focus on getting better and just hope that you get the opportunities to prove yourself. I don't think I can follow a blueprint, because I think those kind of days are gone. I said this in an interview recently as well, that, you know, that mindset that you have, that okay, now you got to do a rom-com, or like now you have to be an action hero. I feel like those things aren't a thing anymore. At least that's what I believe. So, you know, I'm just gonna probably, because now that I have a liberty to kind of make a choice, maybe my choice probably depends mostly on, do I like the script or not? Is the writing good or not? Is my character interesting to play? I think that's just how it'll go.
It's a lot of pressure on one individual, right? Like
Yeah.
you are that individual. You are the face of the brand of Vedang Raina. How you position yourself will impact other people's perception of you. How you behave at a public event will impact what somebody says about you when they're going home that night. It's a lot of pressure on one individual.
Sure, sure. I don't like to take that pressure on. I like to take the pressure of like what character am I going to play next, or what film I'm going to do next. All this is secondary. And all this is really like fickle as well. I realize that it can be super high one time, super low the other time. So I got to just focus on, the goal and focus on the work.
We mentioned the imposter syndrome a few minutes ago, and the imposter syndrome also exists in not just on-set, but off-set, as I was mentioning, when you're at events, right? Now, you last year have been to so many big events, the Ambani wedding, all sorts of things, where you are in circles that you probably never grew up around. You're with people who you only observed from the outside. How do you know how to behave when you're inside those circles? Because people are watching your every move when you're there as well. So how do you know how to behave in those places?
It's really interesting. But I felt like that since day one of my pre-production in Archies, when I was, with people who were from the industry pretty much, and I didn't know how to behave. And then you just ease into it, man. It's like not even in this industry, but like in any kind of aspect of life, any sort of new change, it takes a bit of time to get used to, and then you're flowing, right?
Could I give you a really basic example? Okay, because
Sure.
I find this quite entertaining, and as a fellow outsider, we can compare this. So, when I see Bollywood stars greet one another, they do a two-air kiss,
Oh my god.
and then they hold hands, and there's this lingering
my
holding
God.
of hands that I don't understand.
But I don't understand this either. It's my biggest issue. Firstly, like, I don't know if I'm socially awkward like that. I don't know what the case is, but I don't know whether to go for the handshake like this
Yes.
or like this. right?
Yes.
That's a big one. The other one is the double side or the single
Single.
side. Because that can get the most awkward, because you do the single
Yes.
and then the other person goes for the double, but you're not going for it. So it's bad.
Yes.
It's bad, and like that is a real problem. And I don't know, but what I've kind of like gathered is that like the most senior people in the industry, they usually go for the double a lot more.
And if you're young,
Younger people don't go
they go for one.
I think so. That's my observation.
But this hand-holding thing, you know
The
what I'm
hand
talking
just,
about, right?
It just flows into that, I guess. Like the hand holding may or may not happen.
Vedang, if you're meeting your friends, you would not go hug, handhold. It doesn't work like that.
You may be right.
It's such a Bollywood thing that I don't
Yeah.
get my head around.
But even is the double-sided kiss? I don't know what like
I think double.
is that a Bollywood thing? I don't know, because I've never greeted anyone like that outside of like the industry.
I think it's an international like media thing because
Sure.
like I think Hollywood stars do the double kiss as well.
Sure.
They don't do the holding hands business.
Ah.
That's strictly Bollywood.
Yeah, but like this is a big problem, and I've thought about this as well, because sometimes it's gotten really awkward with people like who it shouldn't have been awkward with.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
That's-
an interesting one.
When I talk about that imposter syndrome at these events, I mean all of these bits, right? Even the
Yeah.
fact that, let's be real, when you're going to these parties and events, you're meeting each individual for approximately 5-10 minutes, and then the conversation moves on and you move around. What the hell do you talk about in those 5 or 10 minutes when you have no previous relationship with this person? You just have to leave a good impression with them. You need to sound interesting because you want them to remember who you are as well.
Sure.
And you don't want to come across as a fanboy.
Yeah.
You want to be cool. Like, how do you navigate that?
It's interesting, but because I haven't been able to navigate it. I think I'm really bad at this, actually. I've seen other people who really easy socially. And I don't know if that's interesting that you say imposter syndrome. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I still find it difficult to navigate through these kind of situations. But I guess I'm getting used to it, man. The more I'll be in these situations when I learn that, okay, this is, kind of the case. Because I've thought about these things. Like, how do you greet them? Like, what do I even talk about?
Yeah.
Like, who am I? So that thought definitely kind of creeps in sometimes. But I learn on the job.
Is it true that there was like an after party for Archies at Shah Rukh's place or with Shah Rukh or something? I might have seen you even speaking about this, and just like I can't remember who it was, but like I just often imagine like being a newcomer going to a party with like a huge star, and also like at that point you're friends with his daughter as well, so you're kind of like, oh, I should just think this is my friend's dad and just be chill about it. But
That's so interesting because, like, I remember the first time I met him, like, the instinct was to almost say uncle, right? But then I'm like, that will be the most stupid thing to ever do. Like, what do I say? So I guess I just stick to sir. But yeah, that initial thought came where should I call her uncle? Because, like,
Yeah.
I'm friends with, I know his daughter. But yeah, I don't know about an after party after the premiere. Maybe I wasn't there. I don't know.
no, don't quote me on this. I might have imagined this scenario. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess I've been in situations where it's just like, you know, you're with people who you never imagined to be with, and
I think you can call Amitabh Bachchan uncle. I think like
I
he's like
don't know the rules anymore because I'll tell you where it got messed up. When I started Archies, when I got Zoya's number on my phone, saved it as Zoya ma'am, and I said ma'am. She said stop calling me that. Do not call me ma'am. So that concept of just calling her Zoya was so bizarre to me, and I think that naturally happened with Karan as well. Because it's crazy for me to call him Karan, right? Like,
Yeah.
it still feels kind of weird to not say sir, but I think I guess there's the rules, just they're malleable.
I feel like if you were meeting your friend's nana, which in this case would be Amitabh Bachchan,
Yeah.
it would have to be an uncle.
That sounded so weird.
But it is, right?
Yeah.
That is your friend's nana. So you're like, you would have to go for uncle at least there.
I don't know. I think I just stick to sir now.
You just stick to sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because just out of respect for, I have to call them sir.
For now. Soon you might be able to call them your co-stars. So,
Oh my
you know,
God.
that's...
Still sir. But
Still
like
s-
Alia ma'am, that's just so odd, right?
You didn't say Alia ma'am,
never,
right?
never,
No.
never,
I think
never.
that's aging her more than you need to.
Never-
Like,
yeah,
just,
I guess
yeah.
that as well as a problem. Like, you don't know who you want. Like, it's just weird, man. Yeah. But I stick to saying sir till I'm told not to, or ma'am till I'm told not to.
You know, it's fascinating, and I really hope that in the next few years we can meet again and speak again and see where this journey has gone to, because clearly you found your feet here. You know, you're 2 films in. Unfortunately, I've been told strictly that we can't talk about what might be coming next, so I'm not going to go there. But I hope that with everything you do going forward, you establish yourself more and more. I've got to say to you, before coming here, we were speaking, and these young Ranveer Singh comparisons happen a lot. But in person, I don't think you do look like a young Ranveer Singh.
I've always said it. I don't think so either.
I don't know. Do you think it's the camera? Because, like, sitting with you
Maybe.
here, you look like yourself. Like, you don't
Sure.
look like
Anyone,
somebody
right?
else.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I guess, like, I guess there's some truth to it because that really, like, caught on, right, for a bit.
Yeah.
So maybe, but I don't personally see it.
I think
don't know.
there's maybe glimpses. Like, I think in Jigra, when you have the shaved head, it reminded me a little bit of...
Bajira?
No, Lutera, actually.
Lutera.
Yeah.
The shaved head look.
Just your face structure reminded me a little bit of that.
Maybe, man. I've never been able to see it. I never saw it. Maybe sometimes I'm like, but it's only because it's like in my head now because people say it. I never.
To give you a bit of an ego boost.
No. It's just like a visual comparison. I'm not.
It's
even
quite cool though to be compared to...
Yeah, but it's like a visual thing. Like I didn't know. It's not really an ego boost.
Okay.
I can never be compared to him.
So what we'll do is we'll put on record today, because I'm the proof for the audience. He looks nothing like Ranveer Singh in
you.
person. He looks like himself. And I think Vedang Raina is who people will compare themselves to in years to come
God.
as well. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me. I must say, you are one of the best interviews I've ever had. The way you I've noticed this about you. I've seen your other interviews as well. Like the way you segue into like different questions.
Thank you.
From whatever I'm saying. So it really feels like you haven't come prepared about what you're gonna ask me. I just really love that and feels like a free flowing conversation.
Thank
It doesn't
you.
happen very often.
That's very
And I also
kind.
must say this because I said this off camera that I have a couple of friends in London who are huge fans, and like everyone knows about you there. You're a bit of a star there yourself.
I'm walking.
Let
out
me
of breath.
interview you now.
This is too much now. This is too much.
No, but I'm being honest. I said, I'm doing this interview with Haroon, and they said, oh my god, that's so cool, right? Because especially all the Indians in he's blushing. Especially all the Indians in the UK, they love you, they know about you, and they were really excited when I told them about this.
You are very, very kind. Thank you so much for your generosity and for your kindness. And we got to wrap this here. Thank you, Vedang. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.